My name is Jaisel. I am 29 years old. I live in a beautiful house with a big garden. The garden has red roses and white flowers. From the street, my house looks perfect. People in my town see me at the grocery store. They see my husband, Leo. They say, Jaisel, you have such a wonderful life. I always smile and say thank you. But my smile is a mask. It is a heavy mask that I wear every day. My life is not wonderful. It is a prison, a beautiful prison. And I am paying the price for a mistake I made a long time ago. I ignored the red flags. I married the wrong man. Now I am trapped. I met Leo when I was 22. I had just finished college. I was working at a small bookshop. I loved the smell of old paper and new stories. My life was simple. I had a small apartment. I had good friends. We would laugh for hours over cheap coffee. I was happy, or I thought I was, but I was also a little lonely. I wanted to find love, a big love, like in the books I read. Then Leo walked into the bookshop. He was handsome, very handsome. He had dark hair and eyes the color of the ocean. He smiled, and his smile made my heart feel jumpy. He wasn't looking for a book. He was looking for me. He said he saw me through the window and had to come inside. It felt so romantic, like a movie. I had never felt so special. He started visiting me at the shop every day. He brought me coffee. He asked me about my dreams. I told him I wanted to travel. I wanted to see mountains and oceans far away. He listened so carefully. He looked at me like I was the only person in the world. He said, "We will see them together, Jaisel. All of them." I believed him. I wanted to believe him. My friends met him. My best friend, Sarah, was hesitant. She said, "He seems a little too perfect, Jaisel. Be careful." I got angry with her. I said she was just jealous. I didn't want to hear it. I was in love. Love is blind, they say. My love was very blind. That was the first red flag. My best friend saw something. I chose not to see it. Leo was so charming. He said all the right things. He told me I was beautiful. He told me I was smart. He made me feel like a queen. But sometimes, a small thing would happen. I remember we were talking about our pasts. I told him about an old boyfriend, just a simple story. His face changed. The smile disappeared. His eyes became cold. He said, "I don't want to hear about other men. Your life started when you met me." I felt a little shiver of fear. But then he smiled again. He touched my face gently. "It's because I love you so much," he said. "I can't stand the thought of anyone else with you." I thought it was romantic. I thought it was passion. I didn't know it was control. That was another red flag. A big, waving red flag. After 6 months, he asked me to marry him. It was a beautiful proposal. We were on a beach at sunset. He got down on one knee. He had a diamond ring. Everything I ever dreamed of. I cried and said yes. We were married 3 months later. It was a big wedding. His family was rich. Everything was expensive. The flowers, the food, my dress. I felt like a princess in a fairy tale. But even on that day, I felt a strange sadness. I remember looking for my friend Sarah in the crowd. She looked worried. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I ignored the feeling. I told myself it was just nerves. After the wedding, things began to change. Slowly at first. So slowly, I almost didn't notice. We moved into this beautiful house. He said, "You don't need to work at that dusty bookshop anymore, my love. I will take care of you." I was happy at first. I could decorate the house. I could cook. It felt like playing a role, the perfect wife. But soon, the role became my whole life. My friends would call. Sarah would ask me to go for coffee. I would ask Leo. He would say, "But why, darling? We have everything we need right here. I want to spend time with you." Or he would say, "Sarah is a bit wild, don't you think? She's not a good influence for a married woman." So I started making excuses. "I'm busy," I would say. "I'm not feeling well." Soon, the calls stopped. My world became smaller. It was just me and Leo in our perfect house. That was another red flag. He was isolating me, building a wall around me, brick by brick. Then came the money. He had a good job. He made a lot of money. He said, "Let me handle our finances, Giselle. It's complicated. You don't need to worry your pretty head about it." It sounded kind. It sounded like he was protecting me. He gave me a credit card, but he checked every bill, every single purchase. "Why did you buy this dress, Giselle? You have so many dresses. Did you need to buy such expensive coffee? This book is a waste of money. You can get books from the library." I started to feel scared to buy anything. I felt like a child, asking for permission. My own money, from my own small savings, was gone. He had put it all into a joint account that I couldn't access easily. I was completely dependent on him. The charming man I fell in love with started to disappear. Or maybe he was never really there. Maybe he was a mask, just like my smile. If I disagreed with him, even on something small, like what movie to watch, he would become cold. He wouldn't shout. Shouting would be easier. Instead, he would give me the silent treatment. He would not speak to me for days. He would be in the same house, eat at the same table, sleep in the same bed. But he would act like I was invisible. It was torture. It was a cold, quiet punishment. I would become desperate. I would apologize, even if I did nothing wrong. I would say, "You were right, Leo, I'm sorry." Then he would smile. He would hold me. He would say, "I'm glad you understand, my love." He was training me, like a pet, training me to never disagree, to always obey. I remember one time clearly. It was my birthday. My mother called me. She wanted to visit. I was so excited. I hadn't seen her in months. I told Leo. His face became hard. "Your mother always criticizes me," he said. "She doesn't think I'm good enough for you." This wasn't true. My mother was just a kind, worried woman. "No, she doesn't," I said. "She loves you." He shook his head. I don't want her here today. It's your birthday. It should be just us. My heart sank. But Leo, I miss her. Are you saying I am not enough for you? He asked. His voice was dangerously quiet. I felt the fear, the familiar cold fear. No, of course not, I said quickly. You are everything to me. I called my mother. I lied. I told her I was sick. I told her we couldn't have visitors. I heard the disappointment in her voice. After the call, I went to the bathroom and cried silently. Leo knocked on the door. Are you crying? He asked. His voice was not kind. It was accusing. No, I lied again. Just washing my face. That night, he took me to a fancy restaurant. He bought me expensive jewelry. He smiled and said, Happy birthday, my beautiful wife. He was buying my silence. He was buying my obedience. Years passed like this. 7 years. The girl who worked in the bookshop was gone. The girl who dreamed of traveling was a ghost. I was just Giselle, Leo's wife. I lived in a beautiful house. I wore beautiful clothes. I smiled a beautiful smile. But inside, I was empty. I felt like a doll. A pretty doll on a shelf. The trap was complete. I had no friends. My family was distant. I had no money of my own. I had no job. Where could I go? What could I do? The fear was my constant companion. Fear of his silence. Fear of his cold anger. Fear of being alone. The cage was locked, and he had the only key. Sometimes I would sit in the garden. I would watch the birds fly freely in the sky. I felt such a deep ache in my heart. I wanted to fly too. I wanted to be free, but I didn't know how. I had forgotten how to fly. I had forgotten who I was. I was paying the price for ignoring the red flags. I chose the fairy tale, but I didn't realize the handsome prince was actually the villain. And this was his castle, his prison, and I was his prisoner. The emptiness grew bigger every day. It felt like a big, black hole inside my chest. I tried to fill it. I would clean the house until it was perfect. I would cook fancy meals. I would read books, but the stories felt far away. They weren't my life. My life was this quiet, sterile house. My life was waiting for Leo to come home. My life was trying to be perfect, so he wouldn't get angry. It was an exhausting way to live. I stopped looking in the mirror for too long. The woman looking back at me seemed like a stranger. Her eyes were sad. So very sad. There were small lines of worry around her mouth. She looked older than 29. She looked tired, defeated. I would ask her, Giselle, where did you go? What happened to you? But she never answered. She just looked back with those empty eyes. One afternoon, I was cleaning out an old closet. At the very back, under some old blankets, I found a box. It was my box, from before Leo. I opened it. Inside were photos of me and Sarah, laughing. Photos from my college graduation. There was an old journal. My hands trembled as I opened it. The handwriting was mine, but it felt like a different person's. The pages were filled with dreams. Dreams of opening my own small cafe with a bookstore inside. Dreams of visiting Italy and eating pasta. Dreams of writing a children's book. I read and read, and I started to cry. Not quiet, silent tears, but big, loud, heartbreaking sobs. I was crying for the girl who wrote those dreams. I was crying because she was gone. I had let Leo kill her. That box changed something in me. It was a tiny crack in the prison wall. It reminded me that I was a person before Leo. I had a life. I had dreams. Maybe, just maybe, that person was still inside me somewhere, buried deep down. I started doing small things, secret things. It was my own small rebellion. Leo liked the garden to be perfect. Only roses and white flowers. When he was at work, I planted a small patch of bright, wild sunflowers in a hidden corner behind the shed. They were my secret. Seeing their cheerful yellow faces turned to the sun made me feel a little bit of hope. I also got a library card. Leo didn't like me going out alone much, but the library was a quiet, respectable place. He said okay. But don't be long, he always said. The library became my sanctuary. It was a place I could be alone, without his eyes on me. I didn't just read novels anymore. I started reading books about other things. Books about starting a small business. Books about gaining confidence. Books about abusive relationships. The words on the pages were shocking. They were describing my life. The control, the isolation, the emotional punishment. It had a name. It was real. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't too sensitive. I was being controlled. One day at the library, I was using the public computer. My hands were shaking. I searched for my old friend's name. Sarah. I found her. She was living in a different city, but it was only a few hours away. She was a teacher now. There was a picture of her. She was smiling. A real, happy smile. I stared at the picture for a long time. My heart ached with regret. I had pushed her away. She had tried to warn me, and I didn't listen. I created a secret email address. It took me a whole week to find the courage to write the email. What would I say? Hi, Sarah, it's me. Remember me? The friend who disappeared. My life is a lie and I am trapped. It sounded crazy, but I had to try. I wrote a simple message. Hi, Sarah, it's Giselle. I've been thinking about you. I hope you are well. I pressed send before I could lose my courage. I checked my secret email every day at the library. For a week, there was nothing. I started to lose hope. Maybe she had forgotten me. Maybe she was still angry. Then, one day, there was a reply. My heart pounded as I clicked on it. The message was short. Giselle, I was so surprised to hear from you. Of course, I remember you. I've missed you. Are you okay? Her question, are you okay, broke me. Someone was asking me if I was okay. Someone cared. I sat at that library computer, and tears rolled down my cheeks. I typed back, no, I'm not. That email was the start. Sarah and I started writing to each other every week. I told her everything. The control, the loneliness, the fear. I poured out all the secrets I had held inside for 7 years. She didn't judge me. She just listened. She wrote back, "Oh, Giselle, I'm so sorry. I knew something was wrong. You are so strong for surviving this. You are not alone." Her words were like water to a thirsty plant. They gave me life. They gave me strength. We made a plan. A very slow, very careful plan. She helped me see that I had options. It was scary, terrifying. But the idea of freedom was starting to feel more real than the fear. The plan was simple. I had to get some money. Money was freedom. Leo watched the credit cards, but he never carried much cash. He kept some in a drawer in his office at home. For emergencies, he said. I started taking a tiny amount each week. Just one small bill. So small he wouldn't notice. I hid it in an old book in my secret box. My heart pounded every time I took it. I felt like a thief, but I wasn't stealing. I was taking back a piece of my life. I also started to document things. Sarah told me to. I kept a secret journal online on my secret email account. I wrote down the dates he gave me the silent treatment. The things he said that made me feel small. It was painful to write, but it was also proof that I wasn't imagining it. This process was not fast. It took months. Months of secret emails. Months of taking tiny amounts of money. Months of finding my courage, piece by piece. There were days I felt brave. I would look at my secret sunflower patch and feel strong. But there were other days I felt hopeless. Leo would have a good day. He would be charming. He would say he loved me, and I would get confused. Maybe it wasn't so bad. Maybe I was the problem. This is what emotional abuse does. It confuses you. It makes you doubt your own reality. But then I would read my secret journal or an email from Sarah, and I would remember the truth. My life hasn't changed on the outside yet. I still live in this beautiful house. I still make dinner for Leo. I still wear the heavy mask of a smile. He has no idea that anything is different. He doesn't know about the sunflowers. He doesn't know about the secret money. He doesn't know about Sarah. He doesn't know that the doll on the shelf is slowly, secretly, coming back to life. I don't know what the future holds. Leaving is the biggest, scariest mountain I will ever have to climb. I will have to leave this house, this town, everything I have known for 7 years. I will have to start over with nothing but a small box of secret money and one good friend. It is the most terrifying thought in the world. But the thought of staying here for another year, another 7 years, another 30 years, that is more terrifying. The thought of that sad woman in the mirror being me forever is my worst nightmare. I made a terrible mistake. I ignored the red flags. I chose a man who wanted a possession, not a partner. I am paying the price for that mistake every day. But my story isn't over yet. Before, I thought this was the end. Trapped. The fairy tale was a lie. But now, I think this might be a different kind of story. It's not a fairy tale. It's a story about survival. It's a story about finding yourself, even when you are lost. If you are listening to this, and maybe you feel a little bit like me, maybe you see a small red flag, please do not ignore it. Listen to your friends. Listen to your family. Most importantly, listen to that small voice inside you. The voice that whispers when something feels wrong. Do not let anyone make you feel small. Do not let anyone put out your light. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel trapped. But please know, you are not alone. And it is never too late to plant a secret sunflower. It is never too late to write a secret email. It is never too late to start finding your way back to you. The first step is admitting the truth. My name is Giselle, and I married the wrong man. But I will not let that be the end of my story.